Hi, I'm Robert Kowalczyk, and this is Obelisk. It is a virtual reality game where physics takes the primary focus, I guess is the best way to put it. Everything operates on a volumetric orb, and all the objects interact accordingly. The graphics are pretty much carried by the shader at the moment, but we still do have work ahead of us and would like to push forward. By pressing the left shoulder, you can zone in on your collisions. Movement works with north, south, east, and west on the dial pad for Windows Mixed Reality. And here we have interactive objects that currently have physics suspended off until you overlap. Each one has different physics and they all react slightly differently. For example, the larger ball is heavier and the smaller ones have a rubber physics, so they bounce a bit more. By pressing the triggers, you can jump. If you press both triggers at the same time, you can actually do super jump. One of the big things about Obelisk is how things actually roll in and out as you walk around, and that is because everything on Obelisk takes place on a persistent sphere, and it's locked into place with a volumetric gravity system. That's why throwing objects actually has a feeling of weight and curvature to it, and later on we get to play with that too. It gives everything a nice effect of rolling hills. Using the gravity, you can actually slingshot around. That's still beta flight. Also, the final version of the planet will be a bit larger, and that should help a little bit on the whole slingshot effect. And I want to tie the flight to an actual object that you hold. These spheres act a lot more rolly, I guess is the way. If you were to carry one of the rubber ones there, you'd notice it wouldn't slide through and go through the hills as well. The cones have rubberized physics attached to them, so just ready to start adding in new objects and more things to play with. Here we have a lighting test. This really kind of shows off some of the shader. Everything is currently unlit, and I can't wait to start getting in to add a lot more and basically to make it look really cool. The dynamic shadows do add a lot. We're gonna push the flight to the limit to basically show everything is on a persistent sphere. This does break it. I do kind of exit the gravity at some point. It does a quick slingshot, but the player character just moves around it in VR and doesn't really notice. It just adds a really fun feel to play. and the shader broke, so everything's back to unlit. Now we are already moving forward, and here we have footage of Jorge Aguilera, who is my graphics artist, and he's working on a more finalized version of Obelisk itself. The first version, basically to walk around in the demo, I just roughed up a sphere a little bit, and to make sure that hills wouldn't induce motion sickness or anything like that, because walking around a sphere is a little bit difficult, just in VR to try to grasp. And after it was proven successful and I got the gravity to work and I got everything to build and package and basically be in the version that I can actually run as a standalone, I was also training Jorge in graphic design as far as 3D rendering. He is a classically trained painter with a bachelor's of fine art in, well, painting. I met him at Barton College while I got my BFA in visual design, and this is the first project that we're actually working on together. So he took to the tech really, really well, and once we got everything on the standalone, he started getting to work on making something that would be really, really cool to walk around instead of just a roughed up little sphere. And from here we're gonna go and pick out different zones to put like mini golf courses and like just fun things to play with, even if it's lawn darts or some sort of shuffleboard or marble-esque thing. I mean, there's really not a, I guess, normal gamey reward system to Obelisk. It's more of just a virtual environment that looks pretty, walks around with, and has stuff to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for your consideration.